What is up, fellow developers? My name is Tyler Potts, and in this video we'll be creating a React app. The React app we will be creating is this weather app. So we created a weather app in vanilla JavaScript. Now we're doing it in React. So as you can see here, if now I go in and I change this, so currently it's Nigeria. It's quite warm in Nigeria, so it's got a nice warm background. But if we was to, let's say, go to where I live, which is not going to be so great. As you can see, it's quite cold, but the background has changed based on the weather, and that is what we're going to be building today, this whole mini weather application. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay guys, so I've just moved this over to the right. So I'm going to create a new React app in the terminal by going yarn create react-app, and then we're going to give it a name. We're going to call this weather react. Hit enter, and this is going to basically generate our files, and once that is done we will crack on. Okay guys, so we have it's now done. As you can see here, it gives you this. It says happy hacking and done in 51 seconds. So not the quickest of time, but not too long, to be honest. So we're going to cd into the app, so weather react. We're then going to say yarn start, but before we do that, we're going to say code dot. You guys don't have to write code dot, you just have to open up your file in your text editor of your choice. I'm going to move this. Where is my theme gone? Where has my theme gone? Every time I record a video, my theme disappears. It's like, hey Tyler, how you doing? You want a theme? Nah. You just go in blind. Community, there we go. Yep, that makes me happy. Close that. Okay, so we've opened that up now in our terminal. Last thing we need to do is say yarn start, and this is going to start our React app. You'll see it update over on the right side, or it might open a new tab, who knows. Nope, it's updated on the right side, so once that updates, you'll see a blank or a React boilerplate app. So first things we're going to do is we're going to move into our source file. As you can see on the right, it's now updated. We've got this lovely, nice spinning React logo. So on the left side, we've got a few files here. We've got app CSS, which is actually our app components specific CSS. We have index with index CSS. Index CSS is our main CSS file. We're actually only going to be using the main today. We're not going to be bothering with component based. And we've also got logo and all this other stuff. So this other stuff is not needed right now. If we're building a big production app, maybe it would be, but for now it's not needed. So I'm going to get rid of app.test. I'm going to get rid of the logo, not rename it. I just want to get rid of it. I'm going to delete it. I'm going to delete this. Don't worry about the right side all erroring, because that'll be fixed once we go into our app.js file and we remove the logo and this, and then remove it from remove this whole header section. So if I hit save for the app, you'll see on the left side we just have a blank canvas. We just say hello, save, you'll see update saying hello, which is perfect. So the first thing we want to do is actually get our API key from the open weather map. So we did this in the previous video, but I'll show you once again. So if we open up our window a bit better, and we just go to the openweathermap.org/API. This is the documentation, so you can read up on all this. But if you now click sign in at the top and enter your email and password, once you're signed in, you can then go to API keys and you can grab your API key from here. So if you want a new key, you put it in here, you give it a name. We'll call this React app, and we'll click generate, and now we have a React app specific key. So if we grab this and we bring this in here, we can now create a constant called API, which we're just going to set equal to an object which says the key. Let's wrap that in quotes, and then we're going to give it the base API URL. The base API URL is this. I will paste this in so we don't have to go searching for it. So it's the https://api.openweathermap.org data, then the version number of the API you want to use. I believe if you're on the free plan, you can only use the latest. So yeah, let's close this and let's bring this back. Now we've got that information already, we can crack on with the rest of the video. we also want to quickly bring out, actually we'll do it when we need it. I was going to bring out use state, but we don't need it yet. Okay, so let's build the actual design of this app. So I'm going to bring over a screen, an XD screen. I have these two images. I have definitely completely went and taken these photos myself. They're illustrations. But yes, definitely I went to the mountains and took them, waited until the time changed, of course, yes. So let's export these images. I'm going to export one. As you can see, I've already exported them before, but let's export them into our current project. So YouTube, weather app, weather React, public or source, and then we're going to create a folder in here called assets. I'm going to create, and then in here, I'm just going to update this to say, which one was this? Was this the warm one? I'm going to say warm background.jpg. It was the warm one. Good. Now we're going to export the cold one. So we're going to say cold background.jpg. And now we just close this, and I could just discard that. Nice. Perfect. So we have those open and set. I'm going to rename the app from app to app because I preferred lowercase in the name. And then inside of it, we're going to have a main tag. Oh, that happens every time. Main tag. Oh, not main tag. God damn it. Main tag. We're then going to have a search hyphen box, which is going to create that. We're then going to set up an input in here. So we're going to say input, and we're going to say type is equal to text. We're going to break these down because I don't like them all being on one line. So we're going to have type is equal to text. The class name is equal to search bar. And finally, the placeholder is going to be equal to search ... So just for those who are wondering, class, the reason we're doing class name and not class is because class is a reserved name in JavaScript, so we can't actually use class because else it'll think you're creating a class. Anyway, let's carry on. So that is all we need for now. Let's hit save, and you'll see over here we have a search box which has appeared up there. Let's go start styling this. So let's go into our index. Let's get this and remove all of this. And let's start writing margin 0, padding 0, and box sizing border box. We're then going to say body is just going to have a font hyphen family of Montserrat and sans serif. We're then going to set the app to have a background image of URL, and then we're just going to get that image we have, so assets, and then we're going to have the cold background to start with, and then we're just going to say background size cover. We're going to say background position. Where's position? There it is. And we're just going to say bottom because I want it to sit at the bottom, and then I'm going to say transition. Transition 0.4 ease out. So when we actually change the image, it will fade through. So if I hit save, nothing happens. That's useful. It's because we need to now go main, and we need to give this a height. So we're going to say min height 100 VH. If we hit save, that should have updated. Okay guys, so I have figured out the issue, and it was a very obvious one. It is, I use background position instead of image. So if we hit save, you'll see now it has updated. My bad, that was my bad. Now we're going to set up a class quickly called app.warm, and if we have app.warm, we're going to set the background image this time, yes, to URL, and we're going to say /asset/warm background.jpg. We're going to hit save, and now if we go back to our app and we just quickly update this with warm, you'll see it starts for a warm background. If we go back, it'll be a cold background. So that is that. So now in our main, quickly, we're just going to give this a background image as well. We're going to give it a linear gradient because I don't want it to be this bright, the actual backgrounds. So I'm going to say to bottom. I'm going to give it an RGBA of 0.2, and then I want to give it another RGBA of 0.75. Hit save. And there you go, you've got this nice dark gradient going down it, which basically just makes it look a bit better in my opinion. instead of being so bright, because obviously we're going to have content on top of this and we don't want the white to clash with the white. And I'm also going to give the whole main a padding of 25 pixels, so you can see that search bar comes in. So let's start up the search box. We're going to say search box. We're going to give it a width of 100%, a margin of 0, auto 75 pixels, which isn't going to do anything, of course. Actually, why do I have that? I just need the margin bottom. We're going to have search box.search bar, and the search bar is going to be display of block, a width of 100%, a padding of 15 pixels, and we're going to do appearance none, background none, border none, outline none. Oh, there's a lot of resets. And then we're going to actually set a background color equal to RGBA, and we're going to say 255, 255, 255, 0.5. So if we hit save, that's what it's looking like so far. Pretty nice. We'll give it a border radius, and this one is going to be 0 pixels, 0 pixels, 16 pixels, 16 pixels. Oh, hit save. There you go. So now it's got radius at the bottom. But now I want to do margin top, and I'm going to say minus 25 pixels. And now it's going to bring it to sit at the very top of this header. It's going to pull it over the 25 pixels of padding we have around the main. I'm then going to say box shadow, and I love this trick. You can basically just make a really cool looking border. And we're going to say probably 0.2. Hit save, and there you go. You've got this nice little underlying border which curves round. Looks really nice. You can also then add a border too, which sits around it. It looks even cooler, but we're not going to do that. So let's say color is equal to 313131, but the font size is going to be 20 pixels, whereas the transition on this is going to be 0.4 ease. We're then going to say search box dot search bar on focus. And we're just going to change the background color to be lighter. So we're going to say RGBA 255, and then we're just going to say 75. Hit save, and there we go. So this is what it's looking like. If we unhover it, you can see it goes dimmer and brighter. There you go. So that is what we're done in there. Let's go back into the app now. And now in the app, we want to basically go under the search box, and we want to add in a div container. We then want to give it a actually we want location hyphen box, and inside the location box we're going to have a location, and we're also going to have a date, and I knew that wasn't going to work. Div class name equal to date, and in the date we're actually going to basically get today's date, but we'll do that in 1 second. So we're going to do the location first, and in the location we're just going to write our place. Now we're going to say New York, if I can spell, New York City, US. Hit save, you'll see that appear on screen. That is perfect. And in the date, we're actually going to create something called the date builder, a function, which we're then going to pass through a new date. Oh, that's not right. A new date. So we did this in the previous video, but for this video, we're going to redo it. So let's go back up underneath app, and we're going to say const date builder is equal to an arrow function which takes the d, which is which takes d, which is equal to the date, and then we're going to get we're going to actually paste in two separate arrays here. So this one has all the months in an array, and days has all the days in an array. I'm actually going to close the side there so we have a bit more space, and I'm actually going to zoom in one because I feel like that would be beneficial to you guys. I'm going to say let day, and I'm going to say let day equal days, and we're going to get d.get day, and this is going to return a number between 1 and 7, or 0 and 6, I think, sorry. And that will basically get us the day out of the days. We're then going to say let date, not lay date, let date equal d.get date, which is going to give us our date. We're then going to get the month. Oh god. So date gets it. This one gets us a number between 1 and 31. Month is going to be equal to months again. So we're going to look through an index in our array. We're going to see d.get month, and this returns a number between 0 and 11, which will get us one of our months. And finally, we're going to just say I keep doing that. Let year equal d.get full year, and this will get us the full year. So, for example, 2020. And then we're just going to return that in template strings, which is going to say day, date, month, and then we're going to say year. Hit save, and there you go. We've got the date already printed out on our screen. It says Saturday the 11th of January 2020. That's great. Now we just want to actually, underneath the location box, we're going to create another box called the weather box. The weather box, and inside the weather box we're going to have the temperature, so .temp, which is going to have in it, let's say 15 degrees. That's a starting point. And then under the temperature we're going to have .weather, and the weather is going to basically just say something such as sunny. So you could actually change your background based on what we get for the sunny when we actually make the request to the API. So if it comes back saying sunny, you can make a sun appear in the background. If it comes back saying raining, you can add rain. If it comes back saying snowing, you can have like a snowy mountain range or stuff like that. For now, I'm just doing the base on the temperature, but you can mix it all up and create a really cool dynamic weather app. And if you manage to do live updates, if maybe you set it to run every minute, and it updated, you'd see this would update and the background would update too if anything changed, of course, which would be awesome. So let's carry on. And so this is actually all our markup we need. Let's actually go style it really quick. So let's go into our index.css, and down below the search bar focus, we're going to say location -box.location. And in here, we're going to say we want it to be white, color, FFF. We're going to say font size of 32 pixels, a font weight of 500, where we have a text align off center. I'm then going to give this a text shadow, and the text shadow is going to be 3 pixels, RGBA. And this is going to have probably 50, 50, 70, 0.5, hit save, and there you go. We've got this nice looking background text shadow. We're then going to say location box.date, and the date is going to have a color of FFF, a font size of 20 pixels, a font weight of 300, a font style again of italic, and maybe a text align off center. So we're going to show you what this does. And there you go, that is now bringing it under there quite nicely. You know, I actually didn't do this before, but I'm going to say text shadow, and I'm going to give this probably 2 pixels, RGBA, and we'll give it the exact same one as the previous one, so this one here. And there you go, it makes it stand out a little bit better. So underneath the date, we want to set up the weather box. We're just going to say weather -box, and we're just going to say text align center. We're then going to say weatherbox.temperature, and we'll give it a position of relative. We're going to display it inline block. We're going to give it a margin of 30 pixels, auto to center it and to bring it away from the other pieces of content. There you go. We're then going to say background color. And the background color is going to be an RGBA 0255, but we're going to set it to 2. We're going to give it a border radius of 16 pixels. Let's have a look what that's looking like. It's alright. We'll give it a padding of 15 pixels, 25 pixels, a color of white, a font size of 102 pixels, a font weight of 900, and then a text shadow of 3 pixels, 6 pixels, RGBA. And we're going to give it again the nice color there. There we go, that's looking good. We're going to say text align center, which is just going to bring the, if this was off slightly, it'd bring it in. And actually, we're going to give this whole thing a box shadow equal to 3 pixels, 6 pixels, and then we're just going to say RGBA 0, 0, 0.2. Oh. There you go. So it's got a nice little box shadow down there, so it kind of looks really cool. And then finally, we're going to go under here and we're going to say weatherbox.weather. That was right, sorry, my bad. And we'll give it a color of white, a font size of 48 pixels, so quite large, a font weight of 700, and a text shadow of 3 pixels, RGBA, and we'll give it this one again. Hit save, and there you go. That is now looking exactly how we want it. Now we just need to get the information dynamically and import it into here. So back into our app.js, we want to go back up, right up to where app is. We're going to say const, and we're going to set something up called query, and we're going to say set query. We're going to set that equal to useState, which is going to be a string, and we actually need to get, we need to say React, and then we need to get this, destructure it, and say set state, sorry, or useState from React, and then that will get us this. We then need to do another one, which is called the weather, and then we're going to get set weather, and that one is going to be equal to an empty object. We're then going to create the search function, which is going to be search is equal to evt, which stands for event. It's going to be an arrow function, and we're going to say if evt.key is equal to enter. So if it's equal to enter, we are going to say fetch. We're going to template strings, and we're going to get the API.base. So what we've set up here in the API thing, we're going to get that. We're then going to say weather. That's again not how you spell weather. Weather. We're going to do a query. We're going to say q is equal to, and then we're going to say dollar our query. So whatever we've typed in our query or set our query to will be what we're searching for. We're going to say and units is equal to metric. We're going to say and app ID, and now this is where we have to set our API key. So we're going to say API.key. We're then going to tab under here and say then we're going to get the result, and the result is going to return rest.json, and we're going to say .then. Once again, I'm going to say result is going to be equal to set weather, and we're going to say result. So this is the function we're going to use now to actually get our weather. So it's a simple fetch get request where we're going to get from the API base. We're then going to set the weather. We're going to get the weather, so that is what we're getting. We could also put forecast there, but we don't want the forecast. We can get the query, which is the query, the units, metric, app ID, and we've set all those in this string, and that is going to basically send an API request, a get request to this this API URL, and we're going to get this, or this endpoint, and we're going to get the response. We're going to actually straight away just get the JSON from the response. We're going to basically a JSON promise, which is then going to pass it through to another promise, which is going to be equal to the result, and we're going to set the weather equal to the result. So that is exactly all we need to do outside of our return function. So now, inside of our return function, we're going to set a couple of things. We need to first set up the input. Under placeholder, we're going to say onChange. We're going to say onChange is going to be equal to e set query, and then we're going to say e.target.value. So we're going to get the value of this input we've typed in. We're then going to, we need to bind to this value equal to the query. And then once we've done that, we can say onKeyPress is equal to, and we're going to say search. And also in search, once we have done all this, I actually want to probably put this in here because I actually want to do two things, not just this. We want to set weather, but we also want to say set query, and we want it to be equal to an empty string again. just so once we've submitted it, we can then start typing a different place again. So this is exactly what we want, and we're actually going to see. So I'm actually going to console log the results, or console log the weather as well. Oh, where we go? Where are we? So console.log weather. We're going to save that, and I'm going to open up the terminal. There we are. I'm going to open up the console for the terminal, and now we're going to search for Northampton. Hit enter, and it's an empty array, but that's because this hasn't updated yet. I've just realized that's not going to work. We actually should get the result, and that is going to tell us exactly what we are getting. So let's try that again. Let's say Northampton, and there you go. This is what we're setting the weather to. So we've got this weather in here, which can tell us if it's cloudy or broken clouds, exactly what's going on. We're going to get the main temperature, which is going to be our temperature. We're going to round this up or down, depending on if it's above 0.5 or below. And we're going to get the rest of this information out, like the country. So let's click back in here. Let's go down to we've got this information now. Let's actually set it. So location, we're going to set to, and we're going to say weather.name, because that is what it gives us back for the name of the city. We're then going to say weather.size.country, and if we hit save, we're going to have nothing there. So it's going to error. And the reason it's going to error is because we actually need to make a check before we do this inside the location box. So we actually need to say if type of weather.main is not equal to undefined. So if it's not equal to undefined, we're going to say, do a question, but we're actually going to get this end bit and we're going to wrap it around the bottom of this, but that's going to error too. This ternary operator only works if there is one element surrounding these. So we're going to say, we're going to just add a empty diff, which is going to hold this information. So we're going to set that back. Let's set that back. Oh, this is confusing. There we go, perfect. And if I think that is correct, so let's just have a look. So if we hit save, this is saying expected TS. Oh, it can't be empty, it has to be a string, sorry. So there we go. Now it's just an empty page, and as we search, if we say Northampton, hit enter, you can see it now says Northampton, US. If we say London, it says London, Great Britain. Another place, Paris, France. So we're getting that information updated. So now let's change the temperature. So in the temperature, we're just going to say, math.round, and then we're going to get the weather.themain.temp, and we're going to hit save. So let's say Paris. So it's currently 6 degrees. Oh, sorry, we also need to enter our degree. So if I press Alt, Shift, and 8 on my keyboard, it gives us the degree key. And then we also have this C, Celsius. Let's try that again. Let's say somewhere else. Let's say, where's somewhere called Spain? It's still only 6 degrees in Spain. I should have thought about that. That probably makes sense. So that is that. So we're rounding it up. If we didn't round it up, for example, and we typed, let's say, Northampton again, we get this, and that is ugly. We don't want that. So let's put that back. Let's re-round it. And now where we've got weather, we're going to say weather.weather. Then we're going to get out the first one. So this can sometimes come back with multiple, depending on how big the city is. But we only need the first one, and we're going to get the main, and we're just going to return us what the actual weather is. So I think that is everything set right there. So if we now hit save, and we go back, we can now say, for example, let's say France. Is that going to get us France CI? It's 31 degrees there. But if we went to Paris, it would be 6 degrees, because obviously France is actually a city somewhere else. And if we say, London again, but if we say London, US, you can see in London, US, it's 14 degrees. So let's now set, so that's good, but nothing's happening in the background. So if we went somewhere like Nigeria, you see it's 35 degrees, but nothing's happening. And that's because we need to add our class to our main, or our class name up here. So we're going to set, instead of writing this, we're going to actually use a, or we're going to basically pass through some JavaScript. We're going to say weather.main is not equal to undefined, because we have to make sure, we have to check it's not equal to undefined. Or you know what, we could probably build this outside of, no, we're not going to mess around with it. So if it's not equal to undefined, then we're going to get the, once again, another weather.main.temperature, and if it's above 16 degrees, we're then going to say app warm, else we're going to say app, and also we need to also set another else outside of this, which is just going to say app. So that's a bit confusing, but if I break this down to a new line for you, and okay, I'm going to have to explain like this. So what's happening is we're checking for the type of weather. We could actually probably bring this down, and then bring that down, and then that down to match that, and then this down to match that. Okay, that makes a little bit more sense, or does it? I don't know, I'm probably just confusing people now. Right, so what we're doing here, we're saying type of weather.main, if that's equal to undefined, so if we haven't done a search query yet, then we're just going to make it app. But if we have done a search query and it's not equal to undefined, we're going to basically check if it's then equal to weather.main.temperature is above 16 degrees. If it is above 16 degrees, we're going to add the class of warm, else we're just going to return app. So I'm going to undo all that, tabbing down. There we go, save. And now, if we go to somewhere, let's say Nigeria, there you go, the background has changed, but that changed quite suddenly. What if we went to Northampton? It's not doing the transitiony thing. Did I break the transitiony? Back to the top. Transition 0.4 ease out. Now, this should be transitioning nicely and slowly across, but for some reason it is not, and we will get to the bottom of this maybe. We might not. That should just transition it naturally. Did I spell transition right? If I spell everything else right, why don't we just do ease? Let's try going to Nigeria again. Nope, apparently it just wants to jump. That's great. Okay, guys, if you can find out how you would fix that, please let me know in the comments. It worked for the previous one, not for this one. Weird, right? Okay, guys, so thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it and learned something new, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. And if you're new around here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you get updated with all the information as soon as possible. So, guys, thank you for watching this video, and
always do it on my own, so I gotta get through it. And the only thing I know is to love what I'm doing. Never give up, never slow, till I finally prove it. Never listen to the no's, I just wanna keep moving. Keep my head